With our application being set up to use MVC, we can now create our models. Models are domain-related classes that do not contain logic, but instead contain the necessary data and properties. In our case, you can think of them as a mirror of the database tables that we will need, containing all the fields for each table. By default, MVC searches the models in Models folder, so let's create the folder first. Right-click the project, add, and new folder. And I'm gonna call it, of course, Models. And right-click the Models folder, and we're gonna add a class. And this is gonna be our first model for the candy. So I'll just name it Candy. And the candy class needs a few properties. First of all, we need the ID of the candy. So we can create a property that's gonna be an integer called candy ID. Next one, we need the name of the candy. So that's gonna be another property. And it's gonna be a string that I'll call name. Next, we can have the description. So it's another string. And then we can have, of course, the price. And the price will be decimal, since we can, of course, use decimal numbers. Now, each of our candy on our website will have a picture, so we will need an image URL. So it's gonna be another property, and it's gonna be a string. And we also want another URL for the image thumbnail. So it's gonna be image thumbnail URL. Then we need to set whether the candy is on sale. So that's gonna be a boolean simply asking if the candy is on sale. Then we have another boolean asking if the candy is in stock. Now each candy will also be part of a category. We do not have a category class yet, but we can add it here anyway, as we already know that we will name the class category later. So after we create a candy class, we will create a category class. So let's bring in the category class into our candy class. And first, we need the category ID that this candy belongs to. And then we'll bring in the whole class of category for this candy. So again, we don't have the class yet, but I'll name it category. And the property will be named category as well. So now let's create a category class in the models folder. So right click, add new class, and I'll call it category. And just like with candy, we need the category ID. So that's gonna be an integer. And then we need the category name. And we can also have the category description as well. And each category will contain candy. So we can create a property of list of candy. That's gonna be a list of type candy. And we'll name it candies. So that's our models. We have our category and we have our candy. And you can see that now our category class is brought into our candy class correctly since we already created it. Now models are, like I said, domain classes and contain all the data that we need to work with the application. But in order to process the data, we will need repositories. And since we want to use dependency injection, we will create interfaces for each repository first. And then we can register the interface with the corresponding repository as a service and inject them into the application. So let's create the repositories next.